It's a shocking story of how the lawmakers are turning into lawbreakers after headlines today carried out a series of exposés for how airlines were taking passengers' safety for granted. Here comes the bigger shocker: how the DGCA is wantonly flouting the very rules it had set up.
The compromises made by airlines on passenger safety has long been amongst the aviation sector's most open and dirty secrets. But now, headlines today has uncovered something even more shocking. Disturbing details have emerged about how the DGCA, the regulator in charge of enforcing rules governing safety in the skies, has turned a blind eye to its own regulations being flouted brazenly. Concerned, the All India Cabin Crew Association has filed a petition in the Bombay High Court where it claims the DGC did not follow procedures laid down by itself. Allegedly discriminated against cabin crew by not notifying requirement for weekly off. The petition further claims that officials of the DGCA deliberately ignored or rejected complaints filed over Air India's transgressions on flimsy grounds. For instance, this is a record of all of Air India's long-haul flights in a particular period in 2011. All flights either have a crippling shortage of crew members on board or have no data available on record.
All our crew, each one of us are suffering, and these are all documented evidence. It is not being fabricated, and we have given those documents to the union. Union, based on those documents, has prepared the synopsis, presented it to the DGCA, and no action coming forth. So the union was forced to file the case in the Honorable High Court. We ourselves are surprised that the regulator is not doing its function that it's supposed to do. So it seems that there is a total collaboration and there is a quid pro quo between the regulator and the operator.
Duty times and duty responsibilities of the cabin crew is laid down, and it's up to the management to enforce it. If at any time the management is unable to enforce it, then they have to go back to the DGC and get a concession. Well, we would like to ask the DGC, if you know this, why have you permitted it? And if you have permitted it, why don't you give it in writing? So this is the process which has to take place. Now, if it is not done and the thing is gone to court, then both the management and the DGC will have to answer now as to why they have continued to fly these aircraft below the safety standards.
The big takeaway remains that the very body responsible for your safety in the sky can now be blamed for endangering it.
This is perhaps for the first time in the history of Indian aviation that an aviation body has moved the court against the Director General of Civil Aviation. Now this is going to have far-reaching repercussions. ICAO, that is the International Civil Aviation Organization, is going to take a very keen note of it. Twice in the past we have saved ourselves from being downgraded. But this time around, in the annual meeting of ICAO, it's going to get very difficult for the Indian agencies to answer the sharp questions. This is Pankaj Upadhyay in Delhi for Headlines Today.